How did one IG complaint flip your entire unit upside down? Private Felix Brennan filed it. One complaint about getting denied leave. That's all it took to bring down an empire of corruption that had been running for 3 years. I was a specialist in supply, stationed at Fort Benning. Our battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Garrett Vance, ran the tightest ship I'd ever seen. No leave requests approved unless absolutely critical. No early releases, no exceptions. Everyone assumed he was just hardcore about readiness. Brennan was different though. Kid had missed his father's funeral, his sister's wedding, and now his mother's cancer surgery. Each time, Vance personally denied the request. Mission first, he'd say. Family can wait. That morning, Brennan walked past my desk carrying a manila envelope, his jaw set, his eyes red from crying. "Where are you going?" I asked. "Inspector General's office," he said quietly. "Filing a complaint. This isn't about being hardcore, something's wrong." I felt my stomach tighten. You don't file IG complaints lightly. Careers get destroyed. Units get torn apart. But watching Brennan walk out that door, I couldn't shake the feeling he was right. The IG investigators arrived within a week. 2 majors in starched uniforms asking questions about leave policies, deployment schedules, personnel rosters. They set up in the conference room, called soldiers in one by one. The whole unit was on edge. Then they started asking about money, budget allocations, deployment funds, per diem payments. That's when I realized this wasn't about leave anymore. I got called in on day 3. The lead investigator, Major Quincy, spread out a stack of deployment orders on the table. "Specialist, you work in supply. Did you process these orders for Kuwait deployment last year?" I recognized them immediately. 40 soldiers, 6-month rotation, standard stuff. "Yes, sir." "Interesting," Quincy said, sliding over another document. "Because according to finance records, your unit received deployment funding for 70 soldiers. That's 30 extra people who never existed." My blood went cold. I could feel the cheap conference room chair under me, could hear the air conditioning rattling. 30 ghost soldiers, 30 soldiers worth of per diem, hazard pay, and allowances going where? "I only processed 40 orders, sir. I don't know anything about—" "We know you don't," Major Quincy interrupted, "but we need you to help us trace where that money went." Over the next 2 weeks, they tore apart every record. Turns out Vance had been creating fake deployment orders for years, pocketing the extra funding. He'd deny leave to real soldiers to keep deployment numbers looking legitimate. Couldn't have too many people gone if you're claiming a full-strength unit overseas. The investigation found over $800,000 stolen across 3 years. Ghost soldiers on paper. Real soldiers denied time with dying parents, so Vance could maintain his fraud. But here's what made my blood boil. Vance had an accomplice. Our Sergeant Major, Russell Donovan, had been co-signing the fake orders, splitting the money. 2 senior leaders bleeding the system dry while Brennan missed his mother's surgery. The day military police arrested them both, I was standing outside the battalion headquarters. Watched them walk out in handcuffs, watched Vance's wife break down crying in the parking lot. Her new Mercedes suddenly made sense. The car we'd all assumed came from family money. Brennan stood next to me silent. "You did the right thing," I told him. "Doesn't bring back the time I lost," he said. Vance got 12 years at Leavenworth. Donovan got 8. But the real fallout hit the rest of us. New battalion commander came in, completely overhauled the leave policy, implemented triple signature requirements for all funding requests, and mandated monthly IG audits. Here's what nobody saw coming. The Army investigated every unit Vance had commanded in his 20-year career, found similar patterns at 2 previous assignments. Total fraud exceeded $2 million. 17 other soldiers had filed complaints over the years, but they'd been dismissed or lost in the system. Brennan's complaint, filed with meticulous documentation of every denied leave request, every missed family emergency, was the one that finally stuck. 6 months later, Brennan got promoted to specialist. Made sergeant a year after that. Last I heard, he's a platoon sergeant now, known for approving every legitimate leave request that crosses his desk. His soldiers call him the most understanding NCO they've ever served under.